Hello, welcome to Stretford Paddock. We are here for the team news, the live team news for Manchester United versus Man City. Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg at Old Trafford. It's a long one, that, isn't it? Too many words for that title, but that's what we're here for. Obviously, the team news should be coming out in about 4 minutes. Looking forward, then, what we know already, it seems as though Harry Maguire hasn't travelled to Old Trafford, or seemingly hasn't got off the bus, which was one of the worries that a lot of people had before the game. It looks like he won't be playing. Looks like we may be starting with Phil Jones at the back. Again, certain people were already a doubt coming to this one. Of course, no Pogba, no McTominay. It looks as though we may be struggling with Martial. Maguire, again, was another doubt there, so it seems as though he won't be in the squad. Let me know who you want to see in the comments starting today. Any leaks? No leaks today, actually, as far as we're aware. No, other than Maguire, but that seems to be sort of relatively general knowledge, considering he just didn't get off the bus. So, yeah, but there may be... I don't know, really. It's hard to know, isn't it? The key areas to look at, I suppose, we've seen a lot of changes at left-back. Martial's a key one. Who will play up front if he isn't fit? The team's... Who's arrived, sorry? Martial is with the squad, apparently, so it looks as though he could be in the squad, or starting, or at least in contention to play in the squad there, so that's potentially good news. Howson at centre-back, honestly, it might be at this point. He was on the way to the ground when I spoke to him a few minutes ago, so he didn't say whether he was playing or watching, so honestly, who knows. Apparently, Maguire travelled, according to Charles Francis, so it's kind of a little bit of conjecture there, maybe a little bit of misunderstanding, miscommunication. Yeah, Phil Jones, we do need a miracle. But you know what? The one thing you can say about Phil Jones is he's played a lot of games. I know that's not much of a much solace when you're looking at in terms of how good someone is, but he's played in a lot of big games. He's played against City a fair few times. He's played in cup finals and semi-finals and that kind of thing. So maybe it isn't necessarily the worst thing ever to see Phil Jones play. I think one thing he doesn't necessarily benefit from is having big spells out of the team. He does tend to come back and look a bit rusty, and that's something that he's definitely had this season. He's had long spells out of the team. So we'll see how he looks if indeed he does start. We should be getting the team news in about 2 minutes. So thanks everyone for joining us. Who do you want to see at centre back? If there's no Maguire, who do you want to see at centre back? It looks. I mean, I say that there aren't really many options, are there? It looks like it is probably. We've got Lindelof. We've got Bailly still injured. We don't know the fitness of Rojo necessarily. I think he might be. He should be fit. Tuanzebe again has been touch and go for the last few weeks. Phil Jones is basically the only one who is fit. So James Young says maybe Maguire just can't be asked going to Old Trafford, and he's going to the Trafford Centre and get some of his Christmas money. Maybe, yeah, he's going to spend some of that. He's probably got a bit. Do you think footballers get Christmas money, or do you think that seems... There's no chance of football. He goes, one up for Christmas this year. Oh, I just want money this year. Just a bit of money. Just going to buy myself something nice. Come on, Jones, you can do it. See, that's the kind of attitude we need. That kind of upbeat, excited attitude. Give me your score predictions as well. We'll be doing a watch-along later, of course, building up to the game. But give me your score predictions now, and then give me your score predictions again once the team news has come out. So let's get a bit of contrast going there. Score predictions in the comments, please, if you fancy it. Norwich, Buendia, people talking about Buendia. Yeah, that centre attacking mid is another option that we're struggling with at the moment, isn't it? Lingard, of course, being rumoured to be linked with AC Milan, having signed with Mino Raiola. Pogba is not fit and maybe on the way out. Andrea Pereira is kind of a 5 out of 10 in all areas and doing okay, but not necessarily the answer long term. So, yeah, it does seem to be a position that we're struggling with, and Buendia has definitely impressed this season for Norwich. Mason or James, who would you play tonight? I think we might see both if Martial's not fit. But personally, I think I would play Dan James. Just that energy on that side. We saw how I think it was Mendy, wasn't it, who really struggled with him in the last game, fouling him a lot of times and really finding it difficult to live with Mason's pace. 1-1, 2-1 United. Let's have a look back on the Twitter there as the team seems to be out. Yeah, here's the first team then. And the main news here is that there is no Harry Maguire as we suspected. Let's go through the full team then. David De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Phil Jones, Victor Lindelof, Brandon Williams starting at left back, something that we did hear rumours of before, but they weren't confirmed, so I didn't want to necessarily talk too much about them, but that does seem to be, well, that is the case, that Brandon Williams is playing a midfield of Fred, Andreas, Lingard. And then we've got Dan James on the right, Rashford on the left, and Greenwood up front. And Marcus Rashford is captain as well, as you can see there. So again, I'll go through that team again. We've got David De Gea, Wan-Bissaka at the right back spot, obviously. We've got Phil Jones and Victor Lindelof as our centre back pairing. Then we've got Brandon Williams, the young, exciting fullback at left back. Again, a holding pair of Fred and Andreas. To me, Andreas' least favoured position. I think he's much better at the 10. I'm sometimes worried about his discipline and his decision-making when he plays at that number 8 or number 6 role. But yeah, that's what we've got. And then we've got Jesse Lingard playing at the 10, despite his transfer rumours, despite these... all these things that are coming out about him at the moment. He is starting, he is playing, he is getting the nod. And then we've got Dan James on the right, Marcus Rashford on the left, and Mason Greenwood leading the line against Manchester City in a semi-final. There's a story in itself. Only just turned 18 years old. It's a real sort of just ridiculous rise basically into the first team, having scored 40-odd goals last season. Now look at him less than 12 months later leading the line in a semi-final for Man United. Mardragon says, thank God no Matic. We've got a few Joneses and some not so favourable emojis coming after it as well. Now Stephen Hughes is saying 3-1 loss. Come on. That starting 11 is absolute bollocks. A little throwback to the Late Night Live last night. Cheers for that one, Camucho. Yeah, it's a little bit, isn't it? But you know what? I think it's the best lineup we could have fielded. I like that Solskjaer has trusted Brandon Williams and Mason Greenwood in those positions, because we could have maybe seen, well, in Williams' case, in Greenwood's case, I don't think we do really have any other more experienced options, but we certainly could have seen Luke Shaw or Ashley Young playing there instead. Let's go over the subs as well, then we've not talked about those. We've got Sergio Romero, of course, Diogo Dalot, who's nice to see him back in the squad after a series of sort of small to medium term injuries. Matic is on the bench. We've got Chong, Gomez, Mata, and Martial is fit enough to make the bench, but obviously not fit enough or just not chosen to start there. Again, give me your score predictions. Our team is at least 3 goals worse than the City team on paper. Well, luckily games aren't played on paper, are they? Because our team was certainly worse than theirs when we beat them. I wouldn't say comfortably, but with a certain ease a couple of months ago. And hopefully we'll see that again tonight. Let's appreciate Marcus as skipper. Yeah, that's something nice, isn't it? As we see the graphic going up on the screen there. Thank you very much for Dom for getting that, and Cam for putting it in. Yeah, that sort of middle three of Andreas, Fred and Lingard leaves a little bit to be desired, doesn't it? Coming up against, I actually haven't seen the City team, but presumably quite a formidable force. As we'll just check out the City team and then go over it once again before we leave. The City team, for those interested, we've got Claudio Bravo, Walker, Otamendi, Fernandinho and Mendy as their defenders. Again, Mendy going to have to contend with that pace of Dan James. Then their midfield of Rodrigo, Mahrez, Gundogan, De Bruyne and Bernardo. Sorry for laughing at that, but that's just good, isn't it? And then they've got Raheem Sterling up front. You know what? I say it's good. I'd rather have Fred, Andreas, Lingard than Rodrigo, Gundogan, De Bruyne. So, don't know about you, but we're doing all right, lads. Yeah, that's a pretty strong City team, innit? I just mentioned the City lineup there, Adesh, but yeah, they're pretty good team City are putting out. I was hoping that they might field a slightly weakened team, but then again, I guess this is probably the best chance they've got of silverware this season, haven't they? So, it's not like it's their best season. That's our best midfield given the injuries. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're having a bit of a laugh here, but I don't think we could have fielded a better midfield with the players we have in the squad and the injuries we have to the squad at the moment. So I'm not knocking that midfield. I'm not, trying to take the piss out of the United team at all. It's just a slightly concerning sort of matchup that we see between Fred, Andreas and Lingard and Rodrigo, Gundogan and De Bruyne. But hopefully, as we see, we kind of use that midfield almost as like a buffer for the defence that then allows the front four to break. And I do trust this front four to counter-attack. Jesse Lingard, whilst you might not like everything about how he plays, he certainly does seem to thrive in these kind of counter-attacking end-to-end games that we do seem to have more against the big teams. And I think that I do trust that front three to look dangerous against any side. So, despite that, you wouldn't really necessarily want our midfield three against theirs in a five-a-side competition. We might see them played in a way today that kind of mitigates some of those technical differences that our team has to theirs. Yeah, Jamal Tazim says, Ole masterclass incoming, and that is exactly what we're hoping for here. Let us know as well, just before we go then, do you think that a two-legged tie suits United, or would you have preferred it to have been just a one-off semi-final? I'm not sure. I trust us to win one game more than two. As we've seen over the last sort of 18 months or so, we do seem to struggle to string together wins in all competitions, basically. To be fair, Martial has been rested to be used as a sub is tactical. It could be. I don't think generally you would rest your main striker in a game like this unless there is some sort of injury going on there. But of course, we don't know what's going on in the mind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Joe Allen says we really need to buy new midfielders in the summer. If that's midfielder Joe Allen, who used to play for Liverpool, we ain't signing you, mate. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to implant some sort of subliminal messaging into our head that we're going to sign Joe Allen. It's not happening, mate. But yes, I do agree we need to sign Summers. One leg would be much better for us. One leg is better, yeah. I think a lot of people seem to be agreeing that one leg would have been a better situation for United, but we'll see, because the consistency we've had against the top teams has been there, over sort of 15 games or so now under Solskjaer. So hopefully we can keep that going for, you only need a draw and a win, or, two draws and a penalty shootout. We don't need to beat them twice. We just need to, stay in it and hopefully be there or thereabouts by the end of the second leg. So we'll see, of course. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll be back again, like I said, at 7:45 for the build-up. I'll be joined by Alex, Patrick, and hopefully Kieran, if he ever turns up, for the watch-along for this game as well. Do tune in. It'll be fun. It's going to be scary. I'm scared. I'm nervous, everyone. But right, yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Finally, United squad is too thin to play more games this season. Well, they've got to play more games, and we're going to watch them because it's fun and we're fans and it's exciting. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you in a bit.